There's a producer called Brian Lenane, the late Brian Lenane. He was a great live TV music producer, entertainment, and he used to do both shows. He produced both shows, and he had a musical team, and one was like a more heavy music type show with more outlandish stuff in it, and the other one was Ready to Roll. So when I was employed there, there was about three or four of us employed at the same time, and he said, what I want you to do is to concentrate on Ready to Roll and boost it up. And so I was employed as a, you did everything essentially in those days. You went out and shot music videos, you went out and performed yourself, or you went and, or you went and picked up the bands from the airport sort of thing, you know. So you did things, all sorts of things like that. And the shows were live, or as live, and even though some of the music was pre-recorded, the shows were live, and you ended up moving props around the studio and that sort of stuff. It was great fun. I had this character, as I say, it started on Ready to Roll, who was a bit rough and ready and did rude things, and wound up Roger Gascoigne weekly, and who deserved it, I have to say. And when I was asked if I was interested in doing the kids' presentation, I said, well, I can't do it as myself because I'm boring. You know, I might look young and hippie with long hair and all that sort of stuff, but I said I'm pretty boring as a person. I'd find it very hard to do it as myself, and I'm quite shy. But I said, I've got this character, I can clean him up a bit. And the producer and the guy that ran presentation, a guy called Chris Bourne, one of the old school TV producers, he said, oh yeah, okay. So we did that, honed it down, went into the studio. We're live, of course, everything was live in those days. And I did my thing, walked out into the control room, there's Chris, I said, there you go. And he just looked at me, okay, good idea, and left me to it. And that's basically where it all started. Well, that's really what made me famous, I think, because I got a reaction from some of the more conservative approach to life, and a couple of TV reviews actually panned me for being this horrible person with a Cockney accent that was going to ruin our kids and stuff like that. And my language wasn't good. I couldn't pronounce Māori language very well. I couldn't do this, couldn't do that. So I used that as a strength, if you like. I said, okay, I need to know a bit about how to pronounce Māori language. So used to get Marama Martin in to teach me how to say, you know, or I encourage kids, you know, I get letters from kids all the time. So I get a letter from a kid from Opatiki, so I call it Opataiki. Then Marama would come in and say, no, this is how, and this is what it means. So we did a bit of a Maori language thing. And in Maori language, we did that. So, but we made it a bit of humour rather than this sort of, you must do this, you must do that. And even though I did some, what would be regarded as risque or naughty things, I tended to get my comeuppance. You know, I tended to get caught out most of the time, which is what most kids do. But there again, I wasn't there to be a teacher because they've had that all day. They were there to be entertained and want a bit of a laugh. And why not do that? You know, and you know, that's what I wanted when I was a kid. Nice One's a fairly English football sort of phrase. Nice, it came from Tottenham Hotspur, Nice One Stu, great Tottenham player. You know, he'd score goals. And Nice One Stu, you know, and Nice One. Almost the first day I did it, I had to do a sign off at the end of the day, and I just as I say, it was ad-lib. There was nothing scripted. I'd write a few notes. There was nothing scripted. It's ad-lib. So at the end of the day, I just turned around to him and said, well, that's it. We're finished for the day. So have a nice one tonight, and we'll do it again tomorrow. All right, see you then. And that's how it came. So all of a sudden, I got this thumbs up. All right, we'll have a nice one tonight, and we'll do it again tomorrow. And if you think about it, have a nice one tonight, and we'll do it all again tomorrow. It has a sort of almost a double entendre anyway. So at 6 o'clock you could get away with that sort of stuff, but it worked. And all of a sudden, kids are all over the country, instead of going like this or like this, they were going like that. Why not? My relationship with Roger, he's a good bloke, but he was so prim and proper and nice and neat, and everything was neat, and he deserved winding up. So it was so easy for me to do as this horrible little person that would, you know, almost be picking his nose every time he saw him, sort of thing, you know. So the contrast between the two seemed to work. Rog used to go along with it. He used to be a bit more scripted than me, but every now and again we'd break that out and do that. So I remember one time in Top Town in Whangarei, we're running around as several thousand people in there. We're in this big, huge rugby ground, and I said, okay, I took off, ended up on this trampoline, bounced up down, and then Roger gets up and bounced up on the trampoline, and we only had one radio mic between us, so we had to talk. We had to pass the mic between us. So I said, and Roger, when I had the mic, Roger says, when I say it, you can push me in that pool. I go, what? When I say it, you can push me in that pool. Okay, yeah. Right, so I passed the mic, but I pushed him in. I forgot to take the mic off him, so he went in the pool with the radio mic. Of course, that ended anything we could talk about, apart from the fact that the senior sound tech was so pissed off with us because that was his one and only radio mic that he had. He said, "You've just ruined it." I said, "Well, it just felt right at the time." For New Zealand television, they were unique. I mean, there's telethons happening all over the world in every language, but the New Zealand one seemed to capture the whole nation. It's like a roller coaster ride, and just everybody just got involved with it, no matter where you were and what you did. And you'd be allotted a time to go on the panel, which was a bit boring, but stuff like that. And then you go out and do things or interview people and stuff. It was a lot of fun to do. And then obviously we'd always contrive it so that Roger and I would be together at some point or other, and one of us would get a pie in the face. And I was always hoping to be Roger because it goes right at your nose, that stuff. It was different because obviously I'd been doing basically what you call continuity work. And all of a sudden I got this show to do, which was like a make it, fix it, this is how you can do it, and also have a few laughs and do sketches and get rock and roll bands in and stuff like that, and just have a very good time, while you're doing all these other types of things. And but we did it in Dunedin. I think the first series we did it in a wool shed in the middle of winter in Dunedin at 6:30 in the morning. It's pretty cold. So the first thing I'd do is walk in there and say, "Could you please put all the lights on? It's full bore, please," because that would heat the place up a bit. And then the kids would come in, and they'd be part of the audience. And I've met quite a few since then that said, "I was on your show there. I was on your show there." I've even had former members of Parliament say they were on the shows in those days, and people like that. Yeah, it was good. So I used to moonlight in sports. And do their editing for them on Friday nights and Saturday afternoons, and when they had the old grandstand show. And I quite enjoyed it because it's quite good live stuff. It was like kids' programs. What we did in those days was live, and sports is live. You don't get any second chance. What you see is what you get. You don't get any second chances. So it had that sort of same element to it, and it's still television. And if you like sport, which I'd enjoy watching sport, it seemed a perfect fit. I could also earn extra money doing it, which helps feed the family. That's essentially how it started. And then I got a job within the sports department, and Charlie Martin, who was then head of sports, he gave me a job saying, well, I've been told that you're really good. All the producers and directors, they think you're great. They think you're doing a great job. But the personnel department in those days, they said, you won't go any further than being a PA, a production assistant. But he said, I believe the other guys, they think you know what you're doing, so you can have a job if you want it. So I said, yeah, I'll take it. Went home, said to my wife, Rosie, said, oh, listen, I've got this job in sports. If they ask me to do anything, I'm going to say yes to everything they ask me to do. And she said, that's fair enough, fair enough. I said, because I want to make a go of this. So that's what happened. They ended up from being a PA who was never going to go any further to being an executive producer in sport, which was great. I always like proving people wrong. That was just pure magic. I mean, Beijing is a unique place anyway. I had several things happen to me there which were unique. One is I ran with the torch in China, which was absolutely, I went to a place called Tianjin, and there weren't too many little white guys like me running around with a torch. So it was a bit of a rock star moment, and it was just wonderful, wonderful people, very, very welcoming people, and what a great games it was. And we worked hard, the crew worked hard. The crew I worked with, I used to say to them always when we did those big jobs, when you've got over 100, 130, 40 people working with you from different parts of the world, I have to say, they weren't all Kiwis. And you'd say to them, well, you're here because Sometimes not because you're the best at your job, but because you're going to be the best person in the team here. And we had a great time. And I still get people to this day tell me that's the best job they've ever done in television. That's a good reward. That's magic, isn't it? That's really magic.